So is there a difference between housing environments and horses? Say horses stalled versus horses in the pasture with what parasites are more prevalent?
Absolutely, absolutely. The strongyles, the small ones and the big ones, this is where they live. This is a perfect pasture for them. And I can't see any larvae out there right now, but this would be a very good place. Close to the ground, uh, they would, they, the larval stages hatch out of the egg, they get up on the vegetation, and when it's cool in the morning, there's a little bit of water out there. It's called dew. And that's what they love. They dance in the dew. And then when it gets drier, they kind of just sit around and wait for the next morning. But if a horse comes by and eats them, they've had it. That's where those parasites come from. The other critters, like the Parascris, and well, particularly Parascris, is one that the egg is the infective stage. The eggs tend to accumulate in stalls and on dry lots and things of this nature, and unless they're in complete sunlight and a very high temperature, they're going to be there for year after year after year. So usually we find that the eggs that the foal ingests this year are from its brethren from last year or the year before. And so that's one important difference. There's another one, the pinworm. We only find that associated with a stable. Why? Because pinworms, the adult female, lives in the lower part of the digestive tract. And when the horse is resting a little bit, they sneak out and they lay their eggs around the anus. And she puts it there with a little sticky stuff. And that sticky stuff kind of itches. And when horses itch, what do? They scratch. And what do they scratch? The rear end. And then we have to remember that, oh, what else do horses do from time to time? Well, some horses will come up and say, oh, I want to chew on this wood, this post, this something like that. And they pick up the egg that was produced there yesterday or the day before or something. Those eggs don't live long, but they live for a little while, and that's how that one gets transmitted. And so we'll see horses rubbing their rear ends and then chewing on wood or something else that's solid, that they'll pick up the egg from that environment.
Okay.
And then there's a third one that we'll see from time to time that's associated with houseflies. You may have seen a housefly or two around a horse barn. and it's one that the housefly will sort of be the source of the infection, and horses will eat houseflies. Not because they're chasing after them, but because the houseflies think that food, particularly if there's a little bit of something sweet on it, is really good. And they're eaten right away. But they can also do a few other things that are even more damaging to the horse, that these houseflies can walk around on a wound or something of this nature, on the genitalia if it's moist, and deposit some of the larval stages that will enter into those tissues, and that can be really serious. We call them summer sores, because that's when the flies are most out, is in the summer, and that's when the transmission occurs.
Okay.